Mr. Peters.
That's the best thing you ever can do.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Deborah Allen. I'm co-chair of the Kane County Jobs Committee. I'm calling our meeting of July 14th to order at approximately 10:25. Our other co-chair, Anita Lewis, is taking care of a housekeeping health issue. And if she can drop in, she will. Otherwise, we'll see her next month. And may we move on to roll call, please? When you're ready.
Bates,
Bates here.
Doherty,
Doherty here.
Ford,
Board present.
Strathman,
Strathman here.
Young,
Young here.
Lewis, Allen.
Allen present.
You have a quorum in the room.
And we have quorum in the room, and Mr. Doherty is asked to join our meeting by Zoom. I'm going to assume that we all agree with that. And so welcome, Mr. Doherty. Thanks for sending in your message. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 16th, last month, 2023?
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry? If Ford moved?
I think she had the.
Madam Chair, I'd ask for unanimous consent of the meeting minutes.
I prefer roll call. Do you mind? Okay, Strathman seconds. May we do roll call?
Bates,
Yes.
Doherty,
Doherty, yes.
Ford,
Board, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Young,
Young, yes.
Allen.
Allen, aye.
Approved.
Thank you. Any public comment? Anyone is welcome. I don't see anything online or in the room. So let's move on to our Office of Community Reinvestment. OCR financials are attached. Did anyone want to speak to that this morning? Mr. Berger, are you there anywhere?
Yes, I'm here this morning, and my
morning.
colleague Maria Gonzalez is on the line. If you have any questions, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, any questions for Maria or Scott? And then we'll move on to the WIOA equity analysis presentation. Mr. Berger, is that something you wanted to talk to us about?
Yes, Anita Lewis asked us to re-present our information regarding equity. And I've asked my colleague Israel Vargas, I'm sorry, to present that information to you today. Israel, if you could share your screen and walk the committee through the presentation, I'd appreciate it.
That's just great. Mr. Vargas, you are most welcome. Hope things are going well with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Can everybody see that?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So on September 23 of 2021, Governor Pritzker announced a $40 million workforce recovery grant program and a $4.4 million in career training grants for at-risk youth, as well as a new commission on workforce equity and access to ensure equitability access to workforce services. Further guidance was provided through the regional and local planning guide updated in November of 2021 by addressing the workforce equity lens and incorporating it into the 2022 local plan to ensure equitable access to workforce and educational services. This prompted our local workforce innovation area, LUIA 5, to take a deeper look using an equity lens framework to see how we are addressing equity in our tri-county areas through our programs and services. As you can see, we did a study where we extracted data from the Illinois Workforce Development System starting July of 2019 and ending on March 2023. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to capture who are we serving? Where are we at throughout the three county areas? We know that Kane County is divided into 34 zip codes. Kendall is 13 and DeKalb is 18. In figure 1, we compared the data extracted from the system, and the data show that every zip code in our tri-county area has benefited from some of our services. Data also reflected a high volume of individuals served in specific areas throughout the three counties that are designated as extreme low-income households. We took notice of that as these areas with larger populations that we were serving included Aurora, Elgin, Batavia, Carpentersville, Oswego, and the city of DeKalb. We also know that in some of these zip codes, it overlaps with other counties, and so some of those residents prefer to go to the other county. But as you can see, every zip code has had some services attributed to it. And we wanted to look even deeper to the areas where there were high volumes of people being served. So we took a look at the three counties separately and show that in Kane County, communities in the extreme low income bracket are Hampshire, Carpentersville, East Dundee, Elgin, parts of Geneva and St. Charles, Batavia and Aurora, with areas like Carpentersville and Aurora showing up to 38.75% as the highest number of households in extreme low income. For Kendall County, communities in the extreme low income brackets are Plano and Oswego, designating those areas to be between 8.47 to 15.77% of the extreme low income households. And in DeKalb County, DeKalb County communities in the extreme low income bracket are most of DeKalb County, with the highest concentration in the city of DeKalb at 38.75% of the Eli households, with Genoa being the second at 15.77 to 25.18% of the extreme low income households. We took a deeper look. Now that we know where we're serving, what zip codes are we serving, and the amount of people that we're serving, we wanted to take a deeper look at barriers that people may be facing in our communities when it comes to accessing the services leading to training and employment. It was important to gauge our level of response to those barriers. The article Inclusive Work, Marginalized Populations in the Workforce of the Future, published in August 17, 2020 by Deloitte, gives us a general insight into the challenges faced by marginalized populations in employment. Social stigma and bias are barriers to employment for identified populations, including race, gender, age, sexual orientation, physical disability, veteran status, religion, and other identities, while lack of internet, digital literacy skills, and social networks can make it difficult to find and secure employment. Trauma-informed care and support infrastructures are essential for marginalized populations to access and sustain employment opportunities, and survivors of trafficking and formerly incarcerated persons face legal barriers to employment, including criminal records, post-release sanctions, and social benefits. LUIA 5, all LUIA 5 services are available to anyone, regardless of race, gender, age, sexual orientation, physical ability, veteran status, religion, and other identities. Some qualification barriers, such as education or immigrant status, are addressed through our partnerships that provide specialized support in this area. In addition, our partnership services include internet access, digital literacy, and social networks. Our referral system allows us to provide trauma-informed care and support infrastructure. We're actively working with DCO to enhance services to the formerly incarcerated persons before release, and through our partnership, help those who are victims of trafficking and immigration. We took the same period of time, we wanted to look at these marginalized populations and how we were serving them. In looking at the data on marginalized individuals served during the same period shows that the highest number of marginalized individuals served by LUIA 5 were females at 1,215, while Hispanics were second at 937 and youth third at 872. Next were Blacks at 745, followed by high school dropouts at 310. Felonies, misdemeanors, and senior services were above 200 served each. The data sets are evidence that LUIA 5 is addressing marginalized individuals in our effort to ensure equity in services is being provided. Coalition models like LUIA 5 offers an assisted pathway for service provision to potential employment, with employment opportunities like development and training programs and provision of basic needs. These services are provided equitably while continuing to assess our community's needs and develop new strategies to ensure the equitability of services is at the top of our priorities. Our website features 10 different languages, coupled with our diverse staff and diverse service delivery system with our partners. As we continue to survey our customers for service satisfaction, we also learn about what other tools may be needed to continue our quest to serve equitably. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Absolutely, Ms. Bates.
what does LWIA stand for? I don't know what this talk was even about. What is LWIA?
Local Workforce Investment Area.
Okay, thank you.
Our life in acronyms, right?
Yes, please, at least in the title, put the local workforce investment area. Okay, thank you.
So
there-
Kane County is the manager of a 3-county workforce development area that includes Kendall and DeKalb counties.
Thank you.
Exactly. Are there other questions? Or comments? Or sharing?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Strathman.
In the DeKalb numbers, does the student population and the income of the student population affect those numbers from the university?
That's interesting.
That is correct. The income levels are the income levels is a measurement tool that is used to determine how many resources comes into a community and where those resources go. So depending on what area of DeKalb you are, you may not be able to qualify for some services because the income levels are higher, where in other areas you will be able to.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Thank you, folks. Mr. Berger, Mr. Vargas, for putting this together for us. And I'm going to assume that it'll be included in the meeting so that people can come back and refer to this in the future.
Yes, we'll make sure the presentation is posted to the website,
That's great. Thanks.
What
for-
website?
the county's
Sure.
website,
Pardon me?
Kane County's website, where your meeting agendas are posted.
Okay, on the agenda. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Welcome, Madam Chairman. You're just in time for our updates on our various priorities. Mr. Toth, Mr. Van Kerkhoff, good morning.
Good morning, Chris Toth speaking. I'll go ahead and start with our RISE grant update. I wanted to thank a lot of you for attending the committee, the whole presentation that I put on last month. I received some wonderful feedback. So I'm working with our partners at RW Ventures just to keep everything moving forward. Our current steps for the RISE grant and for our strategic economic development plan. Right now, we're looking to connect the team from RW Ventures to World Business Chicago and connect that relationship as we begin with our data analysis portion of our economic development plan. We also are setting up our preliminary interviews with our targeted audience. So our first round of feedback and investigation into just what is the mood and what are the certain populations of this county thinking about what we need for an economic development plan. And also the process of collecting data and materials for our consultants so that they can work through this first phase of the plan. At our presentation at the roundtable, we received really great feedback from all of our economic development partners from the municipalities and from some local organizations. The two questions I was asked the most was, how can I help and how do I get involved? So there's a lot of great energy right now. We just started about 2 weeks ago, so things are quietly in motion. But as we move forward in the process, I will continue to update with more as it comes out. So with that, I'll leave it for any questions or comments.
I just want to toss in my thanks for a great roundtable. It was beautifully done, organized, and a lot of fun. I think maybe it's part of the job description, but our economic development people are really upbeat and imaginative and working outside the box all the time. It was a really enjoyable experience, besides lunch.
Thank you very much.
And the flowers.
Oh. Are there any questions on this, or shall we move on? Okay,
Awesome.
next up,
I have just one
of
thought.
course, and welcome.
Oh, thank you. As we go through the RISE grant, and I know we're working with partners who work with businesses, would it be possible that we actually reach out and have a meeting about with our
Madam Chairman, you may need to
major,
stay
major.
close to your
Thank
microphone.
you.
Yeah.
As I'm looking at the people I'm trying to talk to have some of our major businesses be at the table at some date so that they can tell us what they need and what they're looking for to make sure that they're satisfied or what their future needs are for growth here in the county. Because we're looking at it from an organizational perspective, and it's always nice to go to the source of what we're providing for. So firsthand knowledge would be, to me, a very important part of this economic development research. So I think we've got Motorola and there's a large group of them, Smithfield, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. Chris Toth again, absolutely. First thing we did a couple of months ago was work with our data team at World Business Chicago to identify our major employers throughout the county. We've also worked with our consultant, John Grilling, and myself. We are currently doing an economic tour of all the communities. So we've done 3 communities, and we're meeting with the economic development professionals, and we are starting to ask them for not just their biggest employers, but those employers of the highest influence. So we can create a list of partners for interviewing for this process, because we want to engage the business community as just as much as we want to engage the private sector and the nonprofit sector. So we are putting that list together. The initial wave of interviews that the data collection will have will be more of the true leadership of the county. So leaders of economic development, leaders in government, leaders in the private sector. And they have a short list that we've identified, but we're continuing to build upon for that. So.
And does that include our school districts? For instance, U46, a huge employer, as well as our hospitals,
School
employers.
Yes, community colleges, school districts, and I believe there's one hospital on the list right now. Because this is the initial phase, we just want to make sure that we get to some high level things. And then as we move through the process, we'll continue to fan out to different organizations.
And when you do that, my last question, will you bring those individuals to us at perhaps a special meeting, committee of the whole, et cetera, so that the board can be invited to hear about what our employers may need, so that we hear it firsthand, and it can just be a few if they would like to come. I think I would find it very helpful. And I think some of our board members may find it very interesting.
That sounds like a great idea.
We may be establishing policy that will support and impact those businesses.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to continue on, Mr. Toth?
Yes, thank you. Chris Toth speaking for our Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership updates. We've been really, really busy these last couple of weeks. So I just want to fill you in on what's been happening. Next month, I hope to bring forth the first version of our regional asset maps of our industries. This is a map that'll be highlighting across the 7-county and city of Chicago region, manufacturing sectors, technology sectors, life sciences, transportation, distribution and logistics, and business services. This is kind of the first major project of the World Business Chicago data team. And it's something that they have been working on as a deliverable. So as soon as we have a copy of it, I'm excited to share that with the board because it's information we have never had about this region. So we will have a physical location idea of where our clusters are with these services. So this is going to be a great product, and it's showing the value of our contribution to the regional partnership. So I'm really excited about that. We have also been receiving site requests from World Business Chicago, including one specifically targeted at Kane County. My job is to organize those and collaborate with our partners to get them site requests and then get those sites back to World Business Chicago. So hopefully we can continue to attract businesses out here to Kane County. Also, we did receive note that the Kane County partners are utilizing our data services through World Business Chicago. In the first 6 months, even though the services have really only been used for the last 3, the World Business Chicago has received 40 data requests, and 8 of them have come from Kane County. So we've been at a 20% share. We're tied with Cook County, and the only county who's been using the services more is DuPage, who's using about 40%. So we are still one of the top utilizations of that service. And I know that about 4 of those requests came from Mark and myself. So the other 4 came from our partners. I'm not sure yet as what they were looking for, but we have made that offer up to the municipalities and other economic development organizations to utilize those services, and they are using them. So we are getting great value of that. So I just wanted to share that good news. Something really exciting that happened this week is part of the World Business Chicago reached out to me and Mark to go visit a local technology company in Lombard who does automated drone services. And I went out and I saw a demo of a small drone automatically lift off the ground, go over to a specialized dispenser, dock in and land. A small elevator took a package, it picked up the package, lifted about 30 feet up in the air, went 20 feet away, landed and dispersed the package to another drop-off unit. And it was one of the coolest things I've gotten to see. And why we were involved was that this company is looking to do some more work out and some support and opportunity specifically from Kane and DuPage, because while they are located in Lombard, the owner of the company, it's a small startup of about 8 people, is a Aurora resident and is looking to do more things in Kane County as well. So that's why I was involved. So that's another opportunity that we may not have known about had we not been involved in the regional partnership. So it was just exciting stuff. And as we move forward, we're continuing to learn about what's going on in our region and how we can support those businesses that are looking at Kane County, maybe to move them out here or to give them business opportunities or partnerships out here to really increase the technology base in Kane County. And it's really exciting to hear that people want to be coming to Kane County. They want to do business out here. And so we are trying to identify the barriers and how we can help them grow out this way. And then that's the end of my updates for the regional partnership. So I'll go back to comments and questions. Yes, I'm having a lot of fun.
Just want to add to Chris's comments that John Grueling, our new economic development advisor, specifically in his role of helping us take the best advantage of these potential site selection opportunities in Kane County has been invaluable to us to help Chris and I, and then thus our community partners that we might distribute these to, really kind of sift through what the opportunity is, what they're asking for, where might be a good fit in Kane County, what types of things do we need to respond with to potentially be successful. And John's been very helpful with that. So.
Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Do we happen to have a packet, Why Kane? A folder about our attributes? I know we've got the Why Kane website and I know that's there, but do we have a?
We don't have a standard one. We have from time to time used information from that Why Kane website type information along with specialized information to assist a municipality who might be going after a particular site selection. So for instance, there was a company that once I was looking at one of our communities, we were invited to help participate, and it happened to be ag related. So we put together a Why Kane packet specifically focused around our partnerships and connections in agriculture. So a lot of times these tend to be kind of specialized rather than generalized, but that would be something to work towards, or particularly for an EDO to work for, to have a, specific selling
Yes.
pamphlet. I guess. So
Why Kane? Thank you.
Thank you, folks. Are there any follow-up questions? Okay. Any update on the ARPA projects? Are we ready to move on?
yes. Yeah, I'll cover these. We're continuing to work on those 5 initiatives. It's been an interesting journey because some of these initiatives, like the Fabulous Fox Water Trail and the Economic Development Organization, we applied for and got grants for. We're still working with DCO on the 2 grants we're receiving related to the Fabulous Fox Water Trail. And in the meantime, some of the expenses that we are spending for the grant or for instance, Mr. Grueling's assistance, we are paying for out of Fund 400. We have the intent of working with the ARPA committee to reimburse Fund 400 with as many recap or reimburse as many of those costs as we can from the ARPA under those 5 projects of tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, the EDO, and the Fabulous Fox Water Trail. So we're excited to work with the new program manager for the ARPA on that process. So in the next couple of months, you may start seeing, along with the ARPA agenda, some resolutions that are actually reimbursing our Fund 400 Economic Development Fund with funds that have been set aside for these projects.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mark? Okay, Karen, who is everywhere, moving us along, and Ms. Bates, who is paddling her way down the Fabulous Fox, keeping track of what's going on. Anything that you want to comment on, Ms. Miller?
Sure. Good morning. This is Karen Miller. I am a planner with the Development Department, and I wanted to give you an update on the Fabulous Fox Water Trail. So since our designation by the National Park Service into the National Water Trail System on July 2nd, it's been kind of a whirlwind. We've had a lot of great media, thanks to the press releases from the Secretary of the Interior and also from Kane County. So we've had a lot of good, both national and local media about the Fabulous Fox Water Trail, which spreads the word and encourages people to come and see us. Also, celebrations that have been hosted, presentations that I've been asked to present, and I do have a few more coming up towards the end of the summer. And also meeting with landowners regarding new access sites that are being planned along the Fox River in Kane County, which is pretty exciting. So I will be continuing with all of these things. And then moving forward, we will use the designation for promotion and marketing, additional funding, and assistance from National Park Service staff. We also need to continue implementing the Fabulous Fox Water Trail Management Plan, which was a requirement of the designation, and the best management practices that are a part of that. And that involves continued interaction with the successful partnerships that we made during the development of the water trail and also the application for designation. We should be receiving from the Park Service a certificate and also some National Water Trail logo signage, which we can add to our existing access site signage. So I'm waiting for that to arrive, which will be exciting. And Mark talked about the 3 grants that we're working on and waiting for contracts from DCEO on. I also wanted to mention that we had sent out a request for qualifications for a consultant for the American Rescue Plan funding to do a feasibility study on the access sites along the water trail in Kane County to look at what's there and what possibilities there might be for improvements and also additional access sites. And I've reached out to the National Park Service staff that I've been working with, and several of them have responded. They're looking for consultants that they are aware of that are knowledgeable and experienced in doing launches along water bodies. So that's kind of a fun development also. So we keep moving along.
Karen, just a query. Is there any way of knowing how often people come to the site to try and get some particular information for their canoe trip or their kayak paddle, or is there a way to see how often people are trying to get that information?
We do have something set up on our website, but in terms of visitors to our access sites, that is something I have been looking for the past few years to see if any other, water trails have that in place, and I have not found anything that is that seems like it would be accurate. You know, it's one thing to have a land-based trail where you can, you know, put a detector on the ground and you see how many people pass by on that land-based trail over a period of time. But someone getting in and out of the water, I have not found anything that seems to be accurate and usable.
Okay. Just wondered. Any other questions for Ms. Miller?
Madam
Yes,
Chair.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, Mr. Ford, go ahead,
Oh.
please.
Yes, just with working with other cities and villages and towns along the river. I guess one that comes to mind is the city of Aurora and of course the dam. Any information that's coming about through you about what's going on with that?
We have someone on our team who has been attending the IDNR and Army Corps of Engineer meetings regarding potential removal of dams. And it looks like they're interested in removing 8 dams from, not including Algonquin, but down to Montgomery. And that this would be over a period of time. They have been doing hydrologic, and there's another term which I can't remember that has to do with studying the river and what the potential effect of the river when the dams are removed, which I think is very interesting because that may open up some more possibilities for access sites along the river. The Carpentersville Dam is scheduled to come out by the end of the year. The Army Corps has also been hosting community meetings along the river to find out and gather input on what the thoughts are about removing some of the dams in the different communities. And my understanding is they're scheduled to release a report by the end of the year on that. So that's something that will be helpful to us. But it seems like there is going to be funding available through Army Corps for removing dams. And then there would have to be also some funding coming from the owners of the dams and the communities. So I think it's going to be kind of a slow process as we move forward, but at least there's some talk and some study being done about that. And of course, that will make paddling much safer on the river.
And did you say 8 altogether?
Uh-huh.
8, okay.
Does that include Aurora?
I believe it does.
Ms. Bates,
Are we talking long-term like,
microphone?
Bates, please? Are we talking long-term like a couple years or 50 years?
Not 50 years,
Okay.
but it probably more than a couple of years
Okay.
because it's taken a while just for the Carpentersville Dam. You know, that's been talked about for a few years now. And so finally, my understanding that's going to happen by the end of the year because IDNR funding runs out by the end of the year for that. So yeah, it's going to take a while because there's so many communities along the river that, you know, the Army Corps and IDNR have to collaborate with and figure out what they want to do and then come up with matching funding from the, you know, so.
Ms. Strathman?
Who owns the dams and are they owned by the municipalities or?
Some of them are, and some of them are owned by IDNR. The Carpentersville Dam, I believe, is owned by the Forest Preserve. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Mr. Roth?
Rod, the Forest Preserve did do a presentation on dams a couple of months ago, and they mentioned theirs. And then it's the city's, you know, responsible. I guess the Batavia got removed fairly quickly because it failed. But there's a lot of pollution of the soil settlement, so they got to dig out and dispose of it.
It removed itself. The Batavia Dam removed itself.
Right, that's why I made that joke.
The study that Army Corps is doing, I believe, will include that prediction of what, you know, what kind of silt or what other materials might
Yeah.
flow down the river.
Yeah,
Um,
Ben had made a good presentation on explaining.
okay.
I can remember when the South Batavia Dam, I think is how it was referred to, was disintegrating.
Right.
And the decision were flurrying around about, how in the world do we deal with this disaster waiting to happen? And the fact was that it wasn't a nothing burger. The dam did disintegrate. Nobody's lawns became flooded. The banks were not scraped clean. It's a big, long river, and nature kind of takes care of her own, I guess.
And it saved Batavia a lot of money.
And I can just tell a brief story about the Hoffman Dam on the Des Plaines River, which was a pretty big dam that came out. It's probably been about 7 or 8 years now, and there was worry about all this pollution was going to result, et cetera, et cetera. And it turned out to be negligible. Another positive of that was that IDNR went out and they predicted, they look at mussel populations in rivers to see, because mussels are good at filtering water of pollutants and things. And so they were looking at predicting maybe several days to several weeks that the mussel population would increase once the dam was removed, like downstream of where the dam was. And when they went back, it only took a matter of hours and the mussel population improved. And there was, and then they came in and they put different materials along the riverbank I grew up in that area, so that's why it sticks with me. I remember seeing soap suds coming off the dam when I was a little kid. And so I was very happy to see that. And then I ended up kayaking down where the dam was after that. And it's just so much nicer now. It's just so much better looking, and it's safer for paddlers.
For sure.
Dams are very scary.
Can,
Additional.
may I ask my question?
Yes, Madam Chairman, sorry.
It has nothing to do with the dams. No, but it does have to do with the river. Are we going to take a look at going forward to hire a steward, an employee, a staff member, whether it's public-private partnership or two public entities, Forest Preserve, Kane County, to hire somebody to manage the Fox River, because it's not just the fabulous Fox River, because it's simply not just the water. It is the tourism that goes with it. And it is a tourism industry. And that's one of the reasons we were so excited about this as well. This is jobs. It's all about jobs, small business development. Is that something that you're considering, or is that a potential for next year? What do you think?
Well, it's something the National Park Service would like to see, that there is a water trail manager in place. And, the other water trails, do have managers. And so that's something that we can look at.
And is that a grant funded position, or would that be a county? And perhaps I'm saying, would it be between the Forest Preserve, or is it would just be county, or it would be both, or neither?
I think it depends on what the county decides in terms of where the funding would come from. I'm trying to think. The Huron River, they have a watershed council. This is a designated river up in Michigan. They have a watershed council, and I believe they are a nonprofit council, and I'm not sure where their funding comes from for that. And then the Erie Canal Waterway also has I think they are also, I'm not sure if they're a government organization or whatever, but they are also a designated water trail, the Erie Canal Waterway.
Okay.
And I'm not sure where their funding comes from.
If both you and Mark feel appropriate, it'd be interesting for you to do some research and bring that to here. So maybe not this year, definitely next year, because it's still brand new.
Yeah.
To be able to develop that, because I can see value in that.
Sure. Because we have the economic development planner, who could work with that person, and also, Julia, the historic preservation planner, who could work with that person also.
And also it is a small business generator.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. Good, good.
Madam Chair, go ahead. I just wanted to add to the significance of the RFQ that's out there now for the consultant to work on evaluating the feasibility for the new launch sites and enhancements to launch sites. Number one, Karen's already reached out to our landowner partners that asking them to, let us know if they're interested in having new launch sites or improvements to launch sites. And the RFQ that is out there, I want to give a special thanks to Jody Walnick and Rob Linky from her team and helping our team and purchasing put together an RFQ because it really is unique in that looking for a team, so to speak, that really has national river launch site and design and coordination of launch sites, multiple sites. But because of the aspect of the project that will be the design and construction of these using our ARPA funds, need part of that team to be experienced and knowledgeable in working in our specific region of Northeast Illinois, working with the Army Corps and IDNR. So we're really excited about the opportunity to draw some national talent and use local talent both, hopefully partnering to come up with a great proposal for us.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Is there any new business or for the good of the cause, Mr. Young?
Yeah, I had, as being a newer member of the committee, I was looking for the different responsibilities of the different committees. And there is something that section 2-48, it's a website that lists the committee responsibility. And I looked at the committee responsibility for jobs, and it states that its objective will be to maintain and increase employment in Kane County and to promote the creation of more jobs that pay higher wages, especially in the private economy. And it looks like we're doing that right now with, and then I like what Madam Chair had suggested about why Kane County. When you're in sales, you have to say, okay, why is my product better than this product over here? So I think that's going to be important as we go further with these creation of these jobs. I bring this up because I'd like to know, and maybe this is in the details, but I didn't see it. Is it where are the higher paying jobs that are going to be created by this committee? Is there a specific sector that we're going after? I know that in the Chicagoland area, in my business, the largest sector is what they call packaging. And there's a lot of people that build machines that package a whole bunch of different things. And it could be anywhere from packaging raw meat or slicing raw meat to just packaging bubble gum. So there's a lot of those companies around here, and there's a lot of talent in the Chicagoland area. So that would be definitely a sector I think that we should go after and try to get some of that to come over here to Kane County. What I'd like to see as we move forward is what is the objective? Like how many new jobs do we want to create in Kane County? And then we should measure that. So we should say, okay, we want to create 100,000 new jobs that pay $100,000 a year. That I just sort of picked that up. So whatever, I mean, but say something like that. So, okay, that's what our goal is, and then measure that. We don't need to measure it monthly, but it should be measured twice a year, maybe quarterly. So I'd like to see something like this be instituted here in this jobs committee so that we can check the effect of what we're hiring the consultants to do to actually see, is that having an impact in Kane County? If it's not, then let's make some adjustments. If it is, let's keep on doing what we're doing. So I'd like to see something like that established here in this committee. The other thing, part of that jobs description that's on section 2-48. It states here, this committee will have jurisdiction over the promotional efforts of Kane County sparklers, which means employers, employees, individuals, and groups that provide especially good examples for Kane County citizens, taxpayers. So I'd like to have us highlight a sparkler or an employer. So that means, I guess sparkler means some employer and an individual. Maybe it's an entrepreneur that has 8 people right now, but has this new idea. I'd like to highlight one of those, at least, doesn't have to be every meeting, but I think every other meeting, we should highlight one of these companies and see if we could help them. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And if you guys have comments, thank you.
I think Mr. Young has just volunteered to chair a committee.
I was just talking about that when I was outside talking to
Okay.
some members who were here, citizens who were here before. I was just talking about recognition of a potential company. So I'm tracking what you're saying, and I would agree. But I would like to change the name. I think we can
I
come.
know
up
it says
with a little bit-
spark. Well,
I
and
know.
that's
yeah,
what it
I
says in
I
the
know.
description of the
But we
jobs
can come
committee.
up perhaps with a more interesting name. But I think that's a great idea.
Thanks. But I'd like to see that where we could actually track our progress and make sure that we are doing what we should be doing and make sure we're promoting and going after the right companies to move here. You know, like for example, Rockford was in the 70s and 80s and 90s, they were a machine tool mecca. I mean, they had direct flights between Rockford and Detroit, like 4 times a day. 4 times a day. Because they were doing so much business with the automotive market. They had all those OEMs building the machine tools. So obviously Rockford would be a place for machine tools. I think a bad industry to go after would be semiconductor. We don't have any semiconductor business. That's all over in San Jose, for example. So focusing on our strengths here in the Chicagoland area, like the packaging, see if we can bring those communities or expand or create brand new opportunities here in King County. Thanks.
I don't mean to barge in, but I think that's part of the collaborative effort that we've been talking about.
It is, but there's no specifics, and I'd like to see what is the goal? Because the goal of this committee is to maintain and increase employment in Kane County. We should measure that.
Metrics,
We should measure that
metrics.
and measure that by making sure we're going after the right opportunities to attract people, which would be the industries that are thriving in the Chicagoland area.
We tend to spread our staff over large areas. And then every now and then we figure out that there's a place where we need to spend more attention, more money, maybe an additional staff. And certainly the economic development area is something that the county has wrestled with for a long time. I can remember our having a couple of people, one at a time, who tried to fill that economic developer advisor position. And it's just really coming to fruition, I would say now, that we have these collaborative interests and some people to work with. And the reason we're hiring these consultants is to try and figure out how to dig in and make for a more competitive area, a more collaborative area, ways of keeping measurements so that we know what's going on. My husband has a real interest in World War II, and so we have a lot of those documentaries on, and you have pilots making reports after dogfights in the air saying, yes, I was able to take down that guy and that guy and that guy. And it turns out that 3 people took down that guy or that guy. So sometimes it's a lot of us making our best efforts to bring it all to fruition. And then we have to spread the spread the rewards around when we're successful. I am speaking in the place of experts. Would the experts like to make any comment here?
Yeah, well, just historically, since the committee was formed, I think there's been some real solid advancements on that. So one, we recognize Royal Canyon County doesn't have a countywide economic development organization either for coordinating that storytelling of why Kane, collecting data countywide that would help tell our story, support that. Right now, that's all being individually done by our municipalities. With our partnership with GSEP, now we have access to World Business Chicago, and we're able to get some really good countywide data to begin to start telling that story. Every month you get a report from Scott Berger's team on their metrics and progress for the using federal dollars for training and retraining folks for better jobs and better pay. That's the most solid metric, that we have currently in terms of the impact that the Kane County Board, through heading up his programs, to show a difference. I love the pie chart that they showed on the persons being helped. It was great to see it, being spread throughout the county, our zip codes, and the diversity of the folks being helped. I look at those numbers and I'm astounded, but then I also remember these are individual people that have impact on their families and their neighborhoods, and that's a nice solid metric. One of the things that we will be learning in the next couple of months is from our consultant doing our strategic plan, are those, metrics. What clusters do we have in Kane County through our communities? Where are the jobs of the future going to be? What should we focus on? So that will provide us sort of the data-backed picture of what Kane County is now, where Kane County could go, would be a plan for the future. And then the creation of an economic development organization would be the public-private partnership with the business community to implement that plan, to work with all our communities and do the marketing and follow that. Most EDOs have
What's that?
Economic development organization. And that's the end goal of our effort with
Yeah.
the strategic plan. Like Choose DuPage or Will County, Lake County Partners, those are all public-private partnerships that do that. They have to make an annual report to their business community and stakeholders and investors of those metrics of how that is going. So that's really that next wave of countywide metrics that would be part of that, that EDO. And then, as you mentioned, in terms of sharing it, there will be a shared credit between what, if a important industry or company, sector lands in Elgin or Aurora or Carpentersville, it's going to be a combination of the municipality's efforts, our countywide support through the EDO. Oftentimes the state of Illinois, DCO is involved. So there's a lot of people, involved in making that metric a success. But currently, Chris and I can ask World Business Chicago in terms of what kind of metrics, that they have access to, that we can say, in Kane County, X number of jobs were created. This was the average value versus, from 2020 to 2021, 22, 23, and begin tracking that to see, what direction are we headed?
And it's coming.
Okay.
Madam
Chair,
Mr.
Ford?
Ford, sorry.
yeah. Were you gonna say something?
Oh, just a real quick comment, like the Fox River Trail and this, we're at the wonderful beginning of this. So I think you're spot on, Mr. Young, absolutely spot on with your suggestions. But we're building that foundation, and it's a wonderful opportunity for us to be part of something extraordinary. So
I'll keep asking.
excellent. Appreciate that.
Madam Chair, Ford.
Mr. Ford.
Young, this is a great question, a great statement to make. and like what's been talked about, there's a lot of things in place, and it really depends on us trying to get information from other villages and cities and along with that. But another part of it that I would like to see happen is trying to learn what's taking place out there as far as developing a workforce. Workforce development is only one small part. And like Mark was saying, the numbers are about individual people. And that process that they go through can take anywhere from 2 to 4 years for them to get through it, to get to the success part. And then they're even tracked afterwards to see for a period of time. But there's other organizations out there who are teaching and learning and producing a future workforce and a present workforce that we know very little about, if we know at all. I just talked with a guy a week ago who's an architect who's in Montgomery, and I'm gonna try to get more information from him. He's bringing young people in and teaching the basics of the trade. And I don't know exactly what his rotation is or anything like that, but I'm hoping to meet with them, in the near future and find out more about that. So there's so many organizations that are businesses are doing stuff. So I think if we get a chance to bring some people in and let them tell what they're doing, some of these who are producing, who are out there trying to help people find jobs, those job career places. And also I found out that in a lot of incidents, there's always that one statement about how many of our college students that we lose because they can't find jobs here. That can be looked into. But now the one thing we learned with workforce development is there's a new era taking place now. Of course, when I went to school, it was all about accreditation accreditation programs. Well, right now that is going out the window. There are people who are getting 8 months certificates or 8 weeks or anything like that, depends on what the job calls for, and getting well-paid jobs. Now, some of that is coming through workforce development that they track, but it's because that's a lot of what is happening in this new era. So there's a lot of pieces to it. And I think what I'm getting at is the other part is, what is our workforce development happening throughout the Kane County that we need to try to learn about?
Mr. Van Kerkhoff?
One thing I just wanted to point out we didn't highlight in this meeting was sometimes we're surprised because somebody else scores us. And earlier this month, Site Selection Magazine, for the first time, sent out their list of the top 20 counties in the country based on their very specific development metrics of new companies selecting to locate a new facility or expand their facility in that particular county. Now, Site Selection Magazine has done this for municipalities and states. This is the first time they've done it in counties, and we are tied for number 14. And also 4 of the 7 counties in our Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership were in the top 20. Cook County tied for number 2, DuPage County, ourselves, and Will County. So, and the only 4 counties that are adjacent to each other of any counties on the list. So when you take that nice surprise of being scored by somebody else and you score that highly, that says we're heading the right direction. Can we do it in a better, more coordinated way? And especially being to tell that story, that's the job of our regional partnership, and it'll be the job of our, newly created EDO to really sell Kane County specifically. But to be number 14 in the nation on the first time on the list was an outstanding surprise.
May I do a little bragging? Just a little tiny bit of bragging. Yesterday, we're on the front page of the business section of the Chicago Tribune because of this announcement. I was just, yes. Yeah, that was so exciting. I was just, yay.
One more thing to Mr. Ford's point, there are, as I mentioned, there are so many
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Young, I'm sorry. There are so
Okay.
many people doing packaging and machining and everything else around here. And there are OEMs that are building machines for automation. That's kind of what I get involved with on a day-to-day activity. But what they're talking about is what kind of Mr. Ford alluded to, is that they cannot find machinists, they can't find assemblers, they can't find people to wire their machines. And if we could somehow figure out a way to create, I don't know, like the Elgin Community College, to create some kind of a program that would take people that are interested coming out of high school that don't necessarily even want to go to college. That's the problem, is that a lot of times people feel like they're forced to go to a university where, why? They could come out and be HVAC and all this other stuff and making a lot of money. So I somehow, it would be interesting to just pile on top of what Mr. Ford is saying, is to create something that would teach those skills, so that we could have the local companies hire those individuals that are being trained.
Could you mention those three again that you said?
Well, it's electricians, assemblers, like precision assembly, and machinists, people operating machine tools. They can't, those are the biggest things they can't find. They can find engineers, they can find mechanical design engineers that went to school, they can find all those people. Electrical engineers, though, electrical engineers and people that can program robots and complete machines, 50 axes of automation, and, machines the length of this room, they can't find people to program those. And those are very high paying jobs. All those things I just mentioned, those are high paying jobs.
Ms. Strathman.
Yes, Elgin Community College this last year received a federal grant, and they are building a new manufacturing program with robotics. So
Maybe we could team up with them and create some kind of a training, for our local community.
I think that is what they're planning on doing. They have a program
Okay.
that they're going to be starting. I could ask them and find out a little more about it, but they received this nice grant this last year, and they have a new site where they're going to be building a building for this purpose.
Great.
Thank you for the discussion. May I have a motion to put the reports on file?
Bates moves.
Ms. Bates,
I'll
Strathman
second.
seconds.
Strathman.
roll call.
Bates,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Young,
Young, yes.
Lewis, Allen,
Allen, aye.
approved.
Good. No need for executive session.
Madam Chair.
There is a need for executive session.
Yeah, I saw Ms. Tabor sitting in the audience there. I think we probably have closed minutes that we have to go over.
Okay, may I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Stratham News, is there a second?
Second.
Young, second?
Uh,
Roll call on. executive
Madam Chair,
session.
point of order, and don't you have to announce the reason
Yes.
why you're going into closed session? And the state's attorney can provide that.
You're absolutely correct. Executive session to discuss
The state's attorney can tell us what the reason is.
Good, thank you. All right, roll call.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Doherty,
Wait, point of order. So we actually have to have a motion to go into closed session and a reason why we're going into closed session before we vote.
And we did that already.
No, we don't have.
We didn't make the statement, though. So the
Madam
statement,
Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we go into closed session for the
Purpose.
review of closed minutes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Strathman, and the second was?
Young.
Okay.
Second, again.
All right, now we're ready for roll call?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Doherty,
Already yes.
Ford,
Ford, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Yes.
Alan? Passes.
Thank you.
First, a question, Mr. Shepro, are you joining us in closed session? Mr. Shepro, I am going to not include you at this point unless you tell me you would like to be. All right, everybody that's going to join us in the closed session, please accept those invites. Be aware we are live streaming until I give you the okay that we're all together again. So accept those invites, please.
Okay.
I join.
Oh, and I think we have to do roll call now that we're in closed session. Sorry. Roll.
Good.
Down here.
Bates? Doherty?
Mr. Doherty, are you present?
He dropped off.
Yeah, okay.
Ford?
Board present.
Strathman?
Strathman present.
Young?
Young here.
Allen?
Alan present.
And you are not in closed session yet digitally, so please hold your conversation until I give you the okay.
Okay.
Roth is here too. I'm not on the committee.
Takes a village.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Ms. Bates?
I would like to move that we,
Okay, you are in open session.
we have to take roll call.
Mr. Peters, I think we have to do roll
Roll
call. yeah?
call. Okay,
Bates,
here.
Doherty, Ford, Strathman,
Present.
Young,
Young here.
Lewis, Allen.
Alan, present.
You have a quorum in the room.
Thank you. Ms. Bates?
Move that we accept the the minutes from closed sessions as specified by the state's attorney's office
Thank you, Ms. Bates. Do we have a second?
in Exhibit A.
Ms. Strathman? Is a second on that? Roll call.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Doherty, Ford, Strathman,
Strathman, yes?
Young,
Young, yes.
Allen,
Alan, I.
passes.
Boy, we're making you earn your keep.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, point of order.
Yes,
Don't,
Mr. Roth.
don't we need to state which states, just so it's on public record of which ones?
I said Exhibit A, was that?
Right, well, but I
The dates and-
I understand, but Beth could say.
Okay,
Beth Tabor from the State's Attorney's Office, and you are approving the minutes of January 13th, 2022 and December 17th of 2021 as set forth in Exhibit A.
okay, thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you, Mr. Roth. Okay. Public comment, we're going to have to sing and dance and invite people in. Otherwise, shall we adjourn for this occasion?
Bates moves?
Bates moves. Is there a
Strathman
second?
seconds.
Strathman seconds. All in favor of adjourning until our next meeting next month. Thank you all for coming and for participating.
And say aye.
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 All in favor, aye.